Hello, this is the presentation that I did to explain the two activities I designed to assess reading. So the first one is a response task, and the questions that I designed are multiple choice questions and also filling in the gaps. So the reason that I started with this type of activity is that I think that this type of task allows us to identify the level of reading comprehension and also the existing knowledge. And I think that when we create these questions, it's maybe more objective because on the other type of questions where the students has to write an argument and give an opinion, sometimes these type of responses are more subjective. And so I think it is always necessary to have also these type of closed questions, the multiple choice and filling in the gaps. So the student's level is B1. The objective is to scan the text for specific information. And also based on the guide, I selected these micro and macro skills. So the micro skill is to retain chunks of language of different lengths in short-term memory, and also to distinguish between literal and implied meanings. So this is my objective. This is the text that I selected for this activity. I'm not going to read everything because of the time, but the text is about the advantages of going to Britain to study and also the advantages of staying at home to study. So the conclusion of the text, after giving the advantages and the reasons, the different advantages, is that if you have enough time and enough money, the best choice is to spend some time in the UK. So it is a simple text, it is according to the level. And the questions are, first, circle the correct option. What is an advantage of going to Britain? So we have three options, and the correct one is the second one. You have to speak the language if you are with other people. Then we have the second question, which is filling in the gap. So fill in the gap with the correct words. And here I didn't really take an extract of the text, but I try to make it more difficult, but because I think it is too simple when you can just find the sentences and then just fill in the gaps. So here it says, staying at home to study can be a lot what than going to Britain. So if you search, you don't have the same sentence. Here you have, you can learn here. As on the other hand, there are also advantages to staying at home to study. You don't have to make big changes on your life, as well as this. It is also a lot cheaper than going to Britain. So it's not exactly the same. It changes, so it can be more difficult. And the third one is circle the correct option. What does being surrounded by the language mean? And I put this question because I have this objective, distinguish between literal and implied meanings. So the purpose of this question is to assess this skill. So here are the options, and the correct answer is the third one. The two previous options are correct. You are surrounded by people who speak the language, and also you are surrounded by the written form of the language. So being surrounded by the language when you go to another country means both. So that is the correct option. Here we have the rubric. Since I only have 3 questions, I have question number 1, 2, 3. For the question 1, the correct answer is B. For the third one, the correct answer is C. And for the second question, these are the correct words in the same order that should be written here. And the second question is worth 10 points. So we have here to put the final score here over 20. Then I have the constructed response task. So the student's level is also B1. And in this constructed response task, the response has to provide context, general answer, specific evidence. So the student has to look again in the text if he needs to, and then answer by explaining, describing, giving arguments. So the reason I chose this type of task is because it can help to activate and reinforce other skills like grammar, vocabulary, and also to develop critical thinking skills. And I think this is really important. So the objective is to recognize the communicative purpose of the text first, also to infer links and connection between events, to deduce causes and effects, and to identify the main idea. These are all of the objectives. So this is a text from a newspaper. I'm sorry, I forgot the word. A digital newspaper. And it is about fake news. So I put a link here, but I only took some paragraphs that explain this. So the questions are: first, select the purpose of the text of the following list and explain your reasons. So we have the 3 purposes, so the student has to select which one and also to explain why. Second question, what is the main idea of the text? Explain your answer. Third question, what is the connection between the illusory truth effect and the spreading of fake news? So this is explained here in the text. The illusory truth effect, it explains what it is and what's the relation between this and the spreading of fake news. And the final question, which factors causes the increase of people's likelihood to believe in fake news and why? So this is explained also here in the last paragraph. And then the rubric, we have the criteria, and it is based also on the objectives that I was mentioning. Recognizing the communicative purpose of the text, identifying the main idea, inferring links and connection between events, and deducing cause and effect. So we have 5 points if the student recognizes the communicative purpose and explains the reasons. 3 points if he recognizes the purpose but does not explain the reasons clearly, and 1 point if he doesn't recognize the communicative purpose of the text and he doesn't explain the reasons clearly. So I have described each one like this, and if he achieves the whole 5 points on each one, the final score is over 20. And that is it. Here are the references, and thank you very much.